Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om 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 Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim Namostu te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purna Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraika Panaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Duhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dugdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsasudir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Bhishmadrona Tatajayadhrata Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Kripena Vahani Karnena Velakula Ashwattama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Sottirna Khalu Pandavairana Nadi Kaivartaka Keshavaha Parasharya Vachasaroja Mamalam Gitartha Gandhotkhatam Nanakyanaka Kesaram Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Shatpadairahara Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuyad Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradvamsina Shreyase Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutastunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangapadakramopanishadair Gayantiyam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyantiyam Yogino Yasyantam Navidusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Welcome to the study of Bhagavad Gita. We are studying the 12th chapter, Bhakti Yoga, how to develop devotion to the Lord and what devotion really means. This is the subject matter of this chapter, a very significant chapter, because in this chapter Sri Krishna is going to delineate or mention about the different qualities or characteristics of a true devotee of the divine. So we have studied the 6th and 7th verses as well as the 8th as well, also, wherein Sri Krishna says, Sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha. Offer all of your actions to me and become and rest in me. My matpara means resting in me. Ananyena iva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate. A true devotee is one who does not have any concern about anything else, but who has all of his mind given to me. Ananyena viyogena. And then tesham aham samudharta. What will be the result of that? If you do this, generally we are all result oriented. So if I do something, I should get back something, isn't it? So what will I get it? So he says here that I will samudharta, I will save you all from mrityu samsara sagarat, from the fear of death, which is very dominant in all of us, every being for that matter, from an ant to the highest evolved being, humans, we are all afraid of one thing, that is death. So mrityu samsara sagar, how can we overcome this fear of death? In fact, next Sunday's satsang that we have here will deal on this topic, how to overcome the fear of death, and also how to develop this fearlessness in our life. Also overcome the fear of illness and other calamities that we undergo. So here he says, mrityu samsara sagarat, from the clutches or of the fear of death. This coming and going will always be there, but a time should come in our life when we should say, enough is enough. I do not want to be back in this miserable world. So that is what all religions speak about, how to escape these clutches of death. And because Hinduism believes in the reincarnation theory, which is a very valid theory, we believe that we have to come back as long as our desires are unfulfilled. As long as even a little bit of desire is remaining, we will have to come back again. That's what he says. But mrityu samsara sagarat, this coming and going is compared to a sagara. Sagara means an ocean. The ocean is always it is always functioning. That is, the waves are always being created, and then they will go back and become the water, and again the waves will rise. In the same way, we also come like waves, and then we go back. Again we come and go back. So is there an end to it? Yes, there is an end to it. We can become one with the divine. Once we become one with the divine, then there is no need for us to come back again and again. And in the next verse, the 8th verse, he says, Mai eva mana adhastva. Sri Krishna is impressing upon us the need to keep our mind always on a higher perch, on a higher level. So he says, mana, your mind has to be offered to me. Mai eva mana adhatsva. Keep your mind in me. See, our mind is of that nature which would always like to keep on picturing something creating something, or worrying about our body or of our mind and all the past experiences, etc. So that is the very nature of mind. So is there a way that we can get rid of these disturbances that the mind causes? Yes. That with the path here he says, Mai eva. Instead of worrying about everything and everybody, why don't you place that mind? Just remove that mind from the concerns and worries and place it upon me. Just let it rest at my feet, that is the Lord's feet. If we can bring the mind that is wavering here and there and just leave it at the feet of the Lord, He will take care of it. We do not have to worry. And Sri Krishna and all the prophets of all ages, they have always impressed upon us that once we take refuge in the divine, we need not have to be concerned about anything else, because the concern will be looked after by him or by her, by the divine. Mayi eva mana adhastva. Think of the God. So that's why in the last study we had mentioned that one of the practices that we perform, we are monks as well as some of our devotees, is when our concerns are all very valid, of course, when it is becoming too much for us, then we try to bring in the concept that I have gone somewhere. I have gone to a place of pilgrimage. For example, that's why we go to pilgrimages, so that we can feel the presence of the divine over there. So just feel that you have gone there. And all of us have got wonderful imaginations. So we can just imagine that we have gone to a place where the divine lived, or where the saints lived. Just let the mind go over there. Transport yourself mentally to that place. That is one of the best ways of dealing with stresses and strains. So what we do, most of us do that, is when we are under great stress, we watch something that is very funny, or something that takes our mind away from those concerns. But the problem with them is that they will create more worries sometimes. Whereas with the divine, once you can travel to the places where the divine has lived, or the saints have lived, then a sort of peace overtakes your mind. This is a real experience which most of us have felt, or all of us would have felt. So, Mayi eva mana adhastva. It is called as Leela Dhyana. Dhyana means meditation on, Leela means the sport or the play of the divine. So, Mayi eva mana adhastva. And then he says, Buddhim. But sometimes your mind may go somewhere, but yet your intellect will start reasoning and say, oh, this is unreal. This is unreal. I have to deal with the circumstances that is bothering me. So he says, you give up that thinking nature also to the divine. So the mind goes away at the feet of the divine, and the buddhi, the intellect, which keeps on creating new ideas or creating new problems to us, that also needs to be put at the feet of the Lord. It is keeping the mind is probably easier, but keeping the the buddhi, the intellect, is a little bit more difficult. There is no doubt. So the other way is to do something that is, or think of something that is very constructive, something that is going to benefit everyone. That is another way. And Sri Ramakrishna always used to say that do not think that I am very intelligent, I am very wise. Always think that whatever is being thought of by me, whatever is being given to me is by the divine. The divine is supplying everything to me. When Swami Vivekananda was in the West, he was not used to speak on public platforms, but he was almost thrust to do that. So he was hired by a lecture bureau in United States, who used to take him around to all places. Sometimes he had to give 2 or 3 talks every day. They would make him work day and night, and he had to address gatherings. And some of them would ask very silly questions, and some of them the answers for which he did not have. And sometimes some of them he would be given topics of abstruse topics about the social condition of Indians, or the economics of India, and all that. And he would be very tired, and he would be exhausted at the end of the day. And he would say that I would just resign myself to my master, and I would try to sleep. And in the night, when I would be sleeping, somebody would come and would repeat the whole of the lectures that I have to deliver the next day. He would really feel that. So not only once, but many times this has happened. when he did not have any more ideas to talk about, somebody would come and would almost feed it to him, as it were. All the whole of the lecture, they will be fed into him. That would happen because he was intellect in the divine. One architect a long time ago, he mentioned it to us, some of our monks, that he also would do the same thing. He was an extraordinary architect, and he would try to build something or build up some wonderful building, and he would not have any ideas. He would run out of ideas. His brain was almost vacant. At that time, he would resign himself and say to the Lord, "Oh Lord, this intellect belongs to me, and it is you that has to give me the ideas." And sure enough, the next day when he would go to the drawing board, nowadays we use computers, in those days they didn't, so he had to use the drawing board. He said automatically some new ideas would come, and those ideas became very powerful, and those designs would become very popular in those days. So buddhim niveshaya, you can offer your intellect also to the divine. And Sri Ramakrishna also had another method. He would say, never ascribe any glory to your own self. Ascribe it to the Lord. And he would say, I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the divine. Servant of the servant of the servant of the divine. Keshav Chandra Sen in those he would attract thousands of people. But he got attracted to Sri Ramakrishna. And he became an ardent follower of Sri Ramakrishna. When Sri Ramakrishna he would ask Sri Ramakrishna, "Who are you?" And Sri Ramakrishna would say, "I am the servant of your servants." That is how he would mention. That is to say, I am the lowest of the lowly, because I am just a medium through which the divine passes. That is all that I am. So, Mayi buddhim niveshya nivasishyasi mayeva. So these two attendants, that is mana and buddhi, the mind and the intellect, should help us to lead the path towards the divine. It must help. Instead of becoming an obstacle, it must help us. That is the idea. So in this verse, Sri Krishna tries to impress upon us about his existence, that I am everywhere, and do not ascribe anything to your own self. Mayi buddhim niveshaya. We will go to the 9th verse. Atha chittam samadhatum na shaknoshi mayi sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichaptum dhananjaya. If you are unable to fix your mind steadily on me, even at the start, then try to reach me through the systematic practice of concentration. If you are unable to fix your mind on me, then try to reach me through the systematic practice of concentration. That's probably even more difficult. See, it may be difficult for many of us, or most of us, to fix our mind constantly on the divine. It's almost impossible for all of us. Then what should we do? He says here, that do not be disheartened by it. Start now and slowly progress towards. If the goal is clear to us, that is, if the ideal is firm before us, if we are very much convinced that this ideal is the best for us, then we will naturally, our mind will flow towards that. So that's why tatra sthitau yatnaha abhyasaha, says Patanjali in his Yoga Sutra, the 13th sutra of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Unfaltering effort. Falls, our mind will fall down and we will try to lift it. It again will fall down, lift it. This is a continuous process that we need to. One day you will find that your mind has become extremely steady. But it is dirgha kala nairantarya satkara asevitaha dridabhumi. One can achieve to that state only when we spend a lot of time towards it. Dirgha kala, it will take a long time, but doesn't matter. There are many lives for us to go through. So, dirgha kala, nairantarya, that means steadily, without giving up, we should go through it. Nairantarya satkara, the most important thing of all is satkara asevitaha. We should have total shraddha, faith that I will reach the goal, I will become a better person. That conviction must come to us. Do not give up and say, oh, I am no good for it. Or say, I am a sinner. That term sinner, Swami Vivekananda disliked that very term sinner. In fact, Vedanta also doesn't like it at all. Why think of yourself as sinner? You are a child of the divine. You are a part and parcel of the divine. Why do you think of sin as an absolute entity? No, just strike it off. Strike off thy fetters, bonds that bind thee down. So I say Swami Vivekananda in his song on the Sannyasin, strike off thy fetters. You have to just remove that idea that you are a sinner. Instead, install within yourself or reinstall within yourself that feeling that I am pure, I am a child of the divine. Only this can take you to the ultimate goal of life, that is realization of the divine or self-realization. So, abhyasaha, he says, abhyasa yogena tato. It's a positive path, it's not a negative path. It's a path of action and of effort. Action and effort. Put forth a lot of effort and then act upon it, not just sit over there. So he says, atachittam samadhatum na shaknoshi mai sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mam ichchaptum dhananjaya. Try again. Sri Ramakrishna's very famous illustration is that he was once taken to a circus, and there he saw this lady standing on a horse, and the horse is going full speed around the ring, and then first of all she would be standing on both the feet, and then she would remove one of the foot, and then she would be standing with only one foot, and the horse is at full speed. So how can she achieve it? Sri Ramakrishna says it is abhyasa yoga. This is the yoga of practice. She has perfected this, and that's why, and she is not afraid of falling at all, because she knows very clearly that she will not fall because her one foot is firm on the back of the horse. So in the same way, if we are very convinced about it, then we don't have any fear at all. If we are convinced that we are children of the divine, we are not afraid of anything at all. That firm conviction must come to us. Abhyasepya samarthosi mat karma paramo bhava madarthamapi karmani kurvan siddhimavapsyasi. Of the effort. So he says, well, if you cannot do this, if you cannot practice this abhyasa, this discipline of practice, then what do I do? If you are not capable of practicing systematic concentration, then devote yourself wholeheartedly to works of service to me, that is consisting in external worship and discharge of duties for my sake. Thus working for me, man can attain to perfection. So he says, if you cannot do that, sometimes practice becomes too difficult because it might become a bit mechanical, it might become insipid, that is, it may not be tasting good to you. See, we don't want to have the bitter pill all the time. Therefore, sometimes we need to have some sweet along with it. Therefore, it's very hard for us to practice, keep on practicing it if we are not convinced of it, or if we do not find joy in doing so, in practicing it. If we don't find that joy, like most of us, we take gym membership. And after we are full of faith and full of energy for the first few sessions, and after that we give up on that. It's only next year when we have to renew the membership again. We get a little bit of hope, and then we go and become members or renew the membership. So that's how it is. So. For such people, Sri Krishna says, you change. Example, if the japa becomes very monotonous, when it becomes very mechanical, then do something else. Swami Virajanandaji was Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna Swami, Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi's disciple. Also, he was the personal attendant to Swami Vivekananda. And Holy Mother Sharda Devi told him, son, you must try to do japa or to practice the name of the Lord 100,000 times every day. In 24 hours, you must do your japa 100,000 times. And he was a great sadhaka, a great spiritual giant himself. So he would try to follow it, and without fail, he did that throughout his life, 100,000 names, repeating the name of the Lord 100,000 times. But he himself says that sometimes when he would feel a little sluggish, or he would not feel that energy to do japa, he would just go out and he would do some gardening, thinking that by doing this he is serving the Lord. And he was, for many years he was secluded from any other type of activities. So he had a small cottage in the Himalayas, in Shamlatal, a place called Shamlatal, and then he would just grow some vegetables or some flowers, and he would spend his time like that. Later, of course, a small clinic, a small medical clinic was started, which was much later. But before that, when he was staying alone, he would do this japa 100,000 times every day. For years together, he did that. But he says, sometimes I would feel a little sluggish, so I would just go and do some gardening. Then again come and sit and do the japa. Again I will go and do some kind of physical work. He was a wonderful cook also. He would cook some dishes and invite the villagers to come and partake of the food. So that's what he says, abhyase api asamarthosi. If you cannot practice this systematic concentration, then devote yourself to works of service towards the Lord. But the key is that I am doing this not for myself, but for the divine. This egoistic feeling, I am doing this, and then I am the one who has grown these veggies, or I am the one who has grown this garden. No, not this. The Lord has made me do this. These hands belongs to Him, and He is the one who is making it do. That kind of a sacrifice must be there. That kind of a dedication must come. I am not the doer. O Lord, you are the doer, and you are the enjoyer of this also. Not only the doer, but also the enjoyer of this. Abhyasepya samarthosi. If even that you cannot do, then he says, athaitadapya shaktosi. If you cannot give up your ego, what should you do? Athaitadapya shaktosi kartum mad yogam ashritaha sarva karma phalatyagam tatah kuru yatatmavan. If even the fruits of all of your actions, recognizing me as their agent and enjoyer. See? Abhyase pyasamarthosi. See the greatness of Sri Krishna. He knows we will try to find some excuse for not practicing the spiritual disciplines. So he is giving us all these options. So he says, if you cannot give up your ego, what do? Then, after finishing all of your work, whether it be physical work or mental work, whatever it is, you offer the fruits or the results of your action to the divine. I do some action, and after I finish it, I say, Sri Krishna Arpanamastu or Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. I offer it to you, O Lord. I cook some food, and then I offer it to the divine mentally and say, it is you who has cooked this food through these hands, and it belongs to you. Whether it be good or bad, it all belongs to you. That is the idea. So the results must be ultimately offered. It's the only way to become unselfish. It is the only way to become unselfish. Any work done without any selfish expectation, or all works done without any selfish expectation, loses its binding force. See? When somebody praises me for cooking a good dish, I feel puffed up. See? And my ego in me becomes very prominent. And when somebody criticizes me for the same kind of action, I go down. And then I start thinking ill of that person. See? This person is a critic, and I will start becoming negative towards that person. So that is why Sri Krishna is very intelligent. He says, you are doing it not for yourself. Just feel that you are a mere instrument. That is something which we need to remember, especially those who are following the path of Karma Yoga, the path of action, must remember this at all times. Ascribe everything to the divine. Give up yourself to the divine. He is the doer. The Lord is the ultimate doer. Even when somebody does something not so good to us, we will have to offer it to the divine. We have to have self-defense. I don't say we should not have any self-defense. We should have the self-defense so that the harm is not done to us again by that same person. It must be taken care of, no doubt. But having done that, we have to resign it to the divine and say, "Oh Lord, you have done this to yourself through this person, through this person. You have done it to yourself. So beware." We caution the divine not to get into such trouble. Sarva karma phalatyagam tataha kuru yathatmavan. Sarva karma phalatyagam. Sarva karma, that is what one should give up wholeheartedly, fully, not partially. When the praise comes, I take over it, and when the blame comes, I give it to the Lord. That does not happen. No. That should not happen at all. That's the famous story of Sri Ramakrishna. A man, a particular priest, was tending to his garden, and it was very beautiful. And he had grown lots of fruits and flowers in the garden, and he was very happy about it. And he used to, of course, very devotedly, he would pluck the flowers, make garlands out of it, take to his temple, and then offer it to the Lord. And he was extremely happy with whatever he was doing. He was extremely happy. Now, one day what happened? A neighbor's cow came and then started eating some of the flower plants. And as soon as he saw, first of all, it was the neighbor's cow. If it were his own cow, probably he would not have minded it that much. But it was the neighbor's cow, so he didn't like that. So it has come, somebody else has come to steal my things. And so he became very unhappy, and he had a sharp object near him, and then he took it, and then went and hit the cow with it. But unfortunately, the cow died then and there, and he was filled with remorse. He said, "Oh, in Hinduism, killing a cow is considered to be a great sin." So he said, "I have sinned a lot." And then he was very unhappy about it. He sat there, and then he started thinking, "Well, I have killed the cow, but I will have to undergo belong to Indra." Indra is one of the gods. So, according to Hinduism, every part of the body belongs to some god or goddess. So the hands belong to Indra. Indra is the one who owns this hand. So it is his hand that has killed the cow. So the sin must go to Indra, not to me. Oh, he was very satisfied with it, and he said, "This killing," and then he started thinking of how to bury it and all that. So in the meantime, Indra heard this. He came down in the form of a human being, and then he came, and then he went on appreciating the wonder of the garden, and he said, "Your layout is so good. You have wonderful flowers, some of them rare, and so on and so forth." And then he went on walking down. He saw that there was this dead cow. He said, "Oh God, what is this? How did this cow die?" He said, "Oh, the cow came here to eat something, and Indra, he killed the cow." So immediately Indra took his form and said, "You fellow, you are the one who, when it comes to growing the beautiful plants and then the flowers and all that, it is you that have done it. And when it comes to killing the cow, it is me that have done it." You are a blasphemous person, and then of course he imposes the fine of killing the cow to him. So it's just a story, but it makes a point very, very clear that whether you are doing good or bad, then offer it to the divine. But Swami Vivekananda was even, he went up a step higher. He said, if anything has been done or said by me which has brought in some positive results, then know that it is not me that have done or has said this, but it is my master that has done it. And if any words, negative words has slipped my tongue, slipped out of my tongue, then I take responsibility for all of that. It is my weakness that has caused that. So that is the humility that he exhibited. So here, sarva karma phalatyagam tataha kuru yatatmavan. So this is a wonderful verse. In the next verse, Sri Krishna says, Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat jnanat dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phalatyagaha tyagat shantiranantaram. Than a mere formal practice of disciplines, a clear intellectual understanding of the doctrine is better. Than such understanding, meditation is better. Even better than meditation is the abandonment of the fruits of action. For such abandonment of the fruits of works and sense of their agency is immediately followed by peace. Sri Krishna is talking about the steps for achieving the highest, and he gives some alternatives also for that. Sri Ramakrishna used to give an illustration. You are building a house and you have a roof, and you need to get on top of the roof to see what is going on and all that. In India they have flat roofs, unlike here. So you can bring a ladder and go to the roof, or you can, even if that is not available, you can just put a rope, and then you can also climb through the rope with the help of the rope to the roof. But the idea is that you will have to somehow get on to the roof. After going to the roof, you will see that the roof is made of the same materials as the other parts of the building. So he says here, there are different paths to achieving to the divine. It may be taking the flight of stairs, or bringing a ladder, or climbing with the help of a rope, or whatever it is. So he says, Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat. Jnana, various practices and their importance is being mentioned over here. Than a mere formal practice of disciplines. See, somebody tells you, all right, you chant this mantra and you will achieve perfection. Most people who receive the mantra would not know the meaning of the mantra. Most people also would not know the effect that the mantras would cause in their body and mind. But with great respect and with great devotion, they will perform. And there are certain spiritual practices like puja, worship, and even some music, etc. People even may not know the meaning of some music, but they would keep on singing it, or they would perform certain ritualistic worship, etc. Because their elders have taught it to them, and therefore they will just follow the tradition. It's just following of the tradition, that's all. So Sri Krishna says, better than just mere observance of these rites or rituals, or better than that is jnana. That means having knowledge of it. Fortunately, in today's world, most of the youngsters are very much keen to know why they should do certain things, what is behind it, what is the science behind it. But and they would if somebody has given you a mantra or somebody has taught you something, you keep on chanting it and you are happy with it. But Sri Krishna says that doing something with greater understanding, with jnana, is of greater importance than mere following of those rites and rituals. See? So understanding is very important. All the secrets of these spiritual practices are hidden generally. A mantra, for example, it hides a lot of energy within itself, a lot of power within itself. The outer layer of it does not show, just as the rice that we all eat. Many people, or some people, would not know that when the farmer grows rice, it is not the same as what he is eating. The rice has got its outer shell, its chaff, and it needs to be separated in order for one to have the rice. So similarly, this mantras or any of the rituals and rites, etc., which we follow blindly, has got some meaning behind it, there is no doubt. So if knowing that makes you more powerful, it also endows you with a greater clarity. Knowledge is power. That is why he says we are endowed with this tool which removes any of the doubts behind it. Mere blind observance is not that good. That is what Sri Krishna is aiming to say. And then jnanat dhyanam vishishyate. Higher than this knowledge, that is just bookish knowledge or mere knowledge of it, greater than that is dhyana. Dhyana is going deeper into the meaning of those formulas or of those words, going deeper into it. See, there is while we are studying Sanskrit grammar, we are taught something. Every word has got two meanings. One is called as the Shabdartha, and the other is called the Vachyartha. Shabdartha means just the meaning of a word. For example, a house. A house has got, those who have not entered into the house know, oh, this is the house. But Vachyartha is, it goes deeper. A house has got more meaning into it. It is not just the walls or the rooms behind it or just the furniture, but also there is an architect behind it, and also there is a person who lives in that house, and so it goes deeper and deeper into the meaning of the term house. So similarly, every mantra or every formula has got a deeper meaning than the implied meaning. Implied meaning and the deeper meaning is there. So jnanat dhyanam, going deeper into that meaning of the word is very important. So intellect can only go to the outer door, Sri Ramakrishna says. In those days, in Sri Ramakrishna's time, women always used to live inside. They had an apartment called inner apartments. So men would not be allowed to go inside the inner apartments. They can go up to the drawing room and meet everybody, but they cannot go into the inner apartments. So Sri Ramakrishna says that intellect is like the guest who can go only up to the drawing room. But if the bhakti or devotion is that which can enter the inner apartment, it will take the form of a woman and can go inside. So that's how it says, Jnanat Dhyanam. Dhyana is that which goes into the inner apartments of the divine. So any thought that we think will become fruitful only through dhyana, this deep meditation. Any thought will become only fruitful with meditation on the meaning of it or the essence of it. That is the main thing. Therefore, jnanat dhyanam vishishyate. Dhyanat karma phala tyagaha. Tyagat shanti anantaram. Dhyanat karma. The easiest thing is to abandon the fruits of action. We have mentioned it in the previous verse itself. Abandoning, giving up whatever you are doing, offer everything to Him, good or bad or indifferent. Fruits of your spiritual practices, tapas, or acquisition of knowledge or acquisition of wealth and so on, so forth, name, fame, everything is given back to the divine. Nothing belongs to me. I belong to you. That is the feeling that one should try to develop. And it says it is the easiest and also the best method. You can sit and meditate for some time, but you cannot sit and meditate for a very long time. But this offering of everything, that's why in this same Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Pashyan, Srinvan, Sprushan, Jigran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Swashan, Pralapan, Visarjan, Grinhan, Unmishan, Nimishan, Napi, Indriyan, Indriyartheshu, Vartante, iti dharayan. Whether you are seeing something, whether you are listening to something, whether you are smelling something, tasting something, always feel that is all is an offering to the divine. It's a very high level of spiritual practice by itself. Anything that I am doing belongs ultimately to you. Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha, Sri Krishna says here. Thinking that Vasudeva, the divine itself, himself, Vasudeva is Sri Krishna, he is everything, giving up everything to him. It's very, very rarely such great people are seen. That's what Sri Krishna says. So, whatever is grown, for example, to give an ordinary example, there are many people who are working in a farm, and they all go and then work in the farm and then sell everything and then take the money, and ultimately everything goes back to the owner of the farm. Ultimately the farm is owned by him. We are all working for the farmer. It is his farm. So he grows different, he makes us grow different crops, etc. But all of that, the ownership of all of that belongs to the divine. So whether we are artists or we are musicians or whatever it is, everything belongs to the divine. That is the ultimate thing. I'll conclude with one small story. There was this great, India was ruled by the Mughals for a very long time, and Akbar was known as the emperor. Akbar the Great, they used to say Akbar the Great. So he was an emperor, and he had a wonderful musician in his court. His name was Tansen. Tansen's music is still regarded as one of the best music that has been ever created. He has created many tunes, ragas. So Tansen was the court musician in his court. And everybody, of course, loved Tansen, including the emperor. But Akbar observed something, that sometimes this Tansen would disappear somewhere for some time. He would go away somewhere, and nobody. Akbar disguised himself And one day he followed him, and he saw that Tansen went deep into a bushland, a forest, and there on top of a rock he sat, and there he started singing extremely melodiously. And that melody he had never heard. He had excelled himself in singing this melody, and he was totally absorbed, completely lost, so much so that many of the wild animals that lived also came and then started listening to him with rapt attention. Akbar was totally nonplussed. He became very surprised. He said, when Akbar sings in the court, we all definitely are elevated to a high level. But this music that he has created here, I have never been able to listen to it. So as he was coming out of the bushland, Akbar accosted him and said, well, Tansen, I have employed you as my court musician and I pay you your wages. You have never created such music, you have never sung so beautifully as you did today there in the forest. How is it that you can sing so very well, you can create such beautiful music, yet you are not repeating the same here in my court? Then he said, look here, O king, I am singing for the king of kings over there. Rajaunka Raja. So I am singing for the king of kings over there. There I am not afraid at all. I am singing for the love of my Lord of Lords. Here I only sing for you, my Lord, but there I sing for my Lord of Lords without any... do it with full love towards him. And I know that he is listening to me, and therefore the best comes out of me. So then Akbar understood that here he is a great sadhaka, here is a great person who knows the meaning of music itself. So when we offer whatever we do, if we offer it to the Lord, the best will come out of us. And because we are not afraid to do any mistakes, ultimately it all becomes his property. So with this we will stop here, and next Sunday we have a satsang here from 10 o'clock to 12. As I earlier mentioned, the topic of the talk would be how to cope with calamities and death, etc. And we will also have some devotional music and chanting, meditation, etc. After that there will be a feast, lunch served here. So all are most welcome. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogihridhyanagam